Welcome back, everyone. We have an update from Monumental Energy Corp, trades on the OTCQB under the symbol MNMRF and on the TSXV under the symbol MNRG. It's an exploration company focused on the acquisition, exploration, and development of properties in the critical and clean energy sector. Happy to welcome VP of Corporate Development, Founder and Director, Maximilian Sali. Welcome back to the conference, Max. I hear you've got some good news for our update today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm proud to give Emerging Markets an update. Last time I was on your conference, it was October 31st, so it's been bang on 2.5 months. We had just halted our stock for a fundamental acquisition, moving into oil and gas. Since then, a lot of things have happened. One, the stock has come back trading. I think when I did our last presentation to this group of investors, our stock is about 3 cents US. I think we're about 12 cents US today. So the stock's had a tremendous run since we've come back trading. A lot of good feedback from this transaction. Obviously, with the political landscape now and Trump getting into office, the price of oil has come back up. Brent crude last week hit a 2-month high again of over $80 US a barrel, which benefits us because our royalty agreement that we have in place in New Zealand, we get Brent crude pricing for, along with currency. So this transaction, just a high-level update, is we will pay up to 800,000 New Zealand dollars to restart 2 previously producing oil wells that produce almost 1 million barrels of oil and generate a 25% royalty to us, which means there's no liability. Once the wells come back online, we get that royalty no matter what. And just doing some numbers, 100,000 New Zealand is about 56,000 US dollars. So all of our input costs in New Zealand are low, and all of our output costs are in Brent crude pricing. So it's really been a tremendous time for us to get back into oil and gas production. Another thing that we have is we have an investment into a company called New Zealand Energy Corp. They are strictly a gas producer. When I was on the show last, they were drilling their Chiriki 5 gas well. They completed that well successfully. They are now tied into their production facility, and we should have some numbers the next very short period of time of what those numbers are to be. I would assume anywhere from 8 to 10 million MCF. That would be a great number. And also the price of gas in New Zealand is about 10 plus US per MCF, where in the States it's about 250. So you're getting a tremendous value for gas and a tremendous value for oil. And so it's such a great place for us to be. Following the workover wells that we are doing, we are looking at other opportunities in New Zealand to drill fresh wells. These wells are not expensive to drill. They're about $2.5 million US dollars, and they typically come on at 500 to 1,000 barrels a day, again, near Brent crude pricing. So from the first time that I introduced the company on your podcast or show, October 31st, we've come a long way. And one other thing to note is that government consent. New Zealand has been so delayed thinking that they could generate power and electricity from solar and dams that they didn't have enough oil and gas to actually supply energy to the country. So they're having rolling blackouts, and they're so desperate for oil and gas that we received consent to go back into these oil wells and produce again in 5 weeks. That's already been done. And so I think for the first half of 2025 for Monumental, not only has the share price performed well, and we've had a lot of very good feedback from U.S. investors who understand oil and gas is never going anywhere, but us potentially drilling new wells that will generate significant revenue to Monumental and self-fund for whatever we do next, along with the dividend that New Zealand Energy Corp will pay us from their gas production. So I think it's a very exciting time to be in oil and gas again. I think that not a lot of junior companies are marketing a proper oil and gas deal. Here we are. We have our OTCQB listing. We've had some very good feedback since then, and I get calls every day from Americans just excited about what we're doing. We're not in America. It's a very niche market in New Zealand, but you're getting the best possible price for oil, best possible price for gas, and it's a very exciting time to be a junior company, especially with our market cap and the ability to bring in capital and raise capital based on what we could do for the first half of 2025 and the second half of 2025. And I look forward to your questions or any calls from shareholders that want to discuss.
Fantastic. Thank you. And congrats on this. Do you forecast your costs will remain where they are?
So, I mean, in terms of forecasting the price of Brent crude, I think Brent's going to go nothing but up. I think we'll sit in an $80 to $90 range for 2025. In terms of what our costs will be, if I look historically at what it costs to produce a barrel of oil from these wells, it's under $10 a barrel. And so we know what the margins will be. They should be about the same. Once we start everything back up and get back into production, essentially we go into a royalty agreement, and our royalty comes off their net revenue from New Zealand Energy Corp. So we're pretty secure in this. If we go into a new oil well, I can base it off previous oil wells that have been drilled, about 2.5-ish US per well. And so we have the numbers, and hopefully with the currency exchange, it just becomes cheaper for us to drill these new wells.
And where do you see energy prices going under this new administration in the US?
Well, so far we've seen them go up. Obviously a niche market like New Zealand having $10 plus US gas is incredible because they're so delayed. In fact, all the gas sold from the gas well that New Zealand's drilling goes right to market. It's been pre-sold to a company called Genesis. It would be like your local gas provider. And so there's such a demand for it. And in terms of the oil, Brent crude is the best possible price you can get for oil. And New Zealand is so desperate, that's what they're getting. And it's a really tremendous thing. And when you convert those US dollars back to Canadian, our balance sheet, the revenue is truly spectacular.
And are there any major hurdles that have to be overcome for you to get back into production?
No. So we received our government consent. The operator will be New Zealand Energy Corp. To get the Copper Moki workovers done requires a crane and a lift. We have ordered those parts. Those parts will be arriving probably closer to end of February. But the reason they were shut in was due to mechanical issues over years. And so that's why, nothing to do with the reservoirs themselves. And so New Zealand has ordered those parts. They'll be replacing those parts and should get these back online with a very low risk sometime early March. And then we'll be generating 75% of our cash flow back immediately to what we paid, and then have that 25% royalty until these wells run out.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for this update. And we look forward to hearing some more great news next month. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. We'll be right back.